Hello, hello. We live. I think we're live. Doesn't look like anyone's in chat. I'm gonna wait just a bit more before we get ready for our SAT practice right here. I have a list of like a bunch of SAT practice questions right here. Let's just see how it works out. So right now, the SAT is on Saturday, which is in like this week, and this week that's like 4 days. 4 days, I'm pretty sure. 5 days, I think. So that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, and basically we're gonna just do a bunch of these questions, just like hella. I'm gonna show you real quick. I need to set something up real quick. Oop. Set up my control panel. Let's see. Okay. So right now, let's see. So this is our stream so far. We have these a bunch of for SATs. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 large compilations of practice questions, a bunch of different difficulties here. We're gonna try and do them all, but I don't think we might not be able to get through them all. We only have a couple hours, like at most 4 hours, basically. That's pretty much. We're gonna get started for now. Anyone wants anyone joins in, I'm gonna say hi. Everyone in chat say hi too. Bit hard to look at. I don't think I can look at the stream. Maybe I can. Maybe I don't know. Let me just do something with this. If I do this, like that, and then I can. I think this works. Yep. And now I can. Oh, frick! Oh my god! I accidentally clicked off. See. There we go. It's back. I think we're just gonna start now. I guess. Maybe adjust stuff. It was good when I started, but welcome to the stream chat. And I'm trying to get the thing adjusted so that if I was studying books instead of the blade, disappointed. Come on, man. Come on, guys. SATs. First stream mess of the day. Quitting this. Everything is messing up already. So I want to be able to look at the chat and the stream panels, live panels. I think that's good. So how I found this website, and basically a compilation of all the SAT questions. We're gonna be doing the English SAT questions. There's a bunch of them. I don't think we're gonna do them all today. The SAT is on a Saturday, which is like 5 days. I already did the first question. We can take a look. This one's this difficulty is easy, and you just click one of the answers, and they'll actually tell you why it's the right answer. This one's easy. We don't need an explanation. And yeah, interested. Click here. Where's the next option? How do I click next? Huh. And I just click out, I guess. Alright, next question basically. Might not be able to stay on my battery low AF. That's the what was it called? studying SAT. No, it's unfortunate. Yeah. We'll make sure we get through this as fast so we get through as much material with you. But yeah, I guess we have to. It'd be a shame if you leave. Once you left. The following text is adapted from an article about scientific field work. Very awkward saying out the text out loud. For years, researchers studied monarch butterflies. Migration struggled to understand how such small creatures could navigate thousands of miles with remarkable accuracy. Laboratory studies provided limited insights as they failed to replicate real-world conditions. To address this, scientists attached lightweight GPS trackers to butterflies and released them into the wild, allowing for data collectors over long distances. Which choice best describes the function of the underlying sentences in text as a whole? This one's difficulty hard. Clearly pretty easy. Bueno. Explains how scientists overcame a challenge in studying that is obviously A, guys. It argues that GPS tracker is more accurate than no. Describes how researchers discovered migration, Markov contrasts two complete theories. Yep. Too easy, guys. I thought this was hard, man. Come on. 74%. I feel like, click here. There's no, next. I guess I had to manually click through each one. Guys, I think the SAT might not be that hard anymore. This one's medium. Top is cross-text connections. I'm pretty good at this one, I would say. Based on the text, what will author of text 2 most likely say about text 1's characterization of the modern concrete finding? City bridges eventually cracked from stress and weather, but researchers studying ancient Roman harbor ruins. I'm so bad reading aloud. But researchers studying ancient Roman harbor ruins found that the concrete seems to heal small fractures when seawater seeps in. Recent lab work reports a similar effect in modern trial mixes that include tiny lime-rich clast and pozzolanic ash, with microclasts losing over time in brine. Engineers say this parallel points to an accessible path to long-lasting highway bridges, potentially reducing maintenance closures and costly emergency repairs. And text 2 says, when material scientist Lila Moreno and her team described healing-like behavior in their modern mixes, the claim drew interest, as they emphasized the chemistry appears to depend on slow marine interactions not typical of bridge decks, and the role of the class is not fully established. Moreno has compared the class to seeds that may release binding material under the certain conditions, but how this would work in everyday bridge environments remain uncertain. Based on this text, I would, out of text 2, most likely say about text 1 because modern concrete findings. Well, I need to drink water after all this talking. Let's see, so much hard to concentrate when you're speaking out loud. City bridge into crack on the finding women found that the concrete seemed to heal small traumas, or recently for similar effects in modern mixes by include tiny natural design. You say the parallel points to accessible paths to long-lasting reducing. We're going to compare the other seasons release, but how this will work in everyday bridge environment remain uncertain. So I would say text 2 would say that text 1 is overly optimistic, and it doesn't very uncertain. It was saying it's reasonable given the team has confirmed the same mechanism in both marine settings. It's overly optimistic because the mechanism is relevant to good condition remain uncertain. That's exactly what I said. It's assumptive. It's overly dismissive. Good job. Explanation correct because yeah, I got it right. I need to. People seem to pick A. This is like a less accuracy score than the hard one. The question 4, words in context. The words in context one are like pretty hard because really hard to deduct which words is the meanings, because right now I don't know meticulous. Actually, I knew meticulous and I said it. This one's easy. Okay. For Chef Antonio Gonzalez, being blank was the essential part of his culinary mastery because he paid close attention to flavors, textures, and presentation of each dish. Gonzalez's creations captured the essence of Mediterranean cuisine with remarkable authenticity. Being, see, so it will need to mean paying close attention without being meticulous. Good job. Overview. Next. This one's medium. It's text structure and purpose. The following text is adapted from E.B. White's 1952 novel Charlotte's Web. I read this. No, I read Charlotte's Web and was like in third grade. It was a pretty alright book. It was pretty good back when it was third grade. I'm not sure about now. I haven't read it in a while. In this scene, the narrator describes Templeton, a rat who lives in a barn. I don't remember anything. I remember that Charlotte dies, and she has like grandchildren, and the pig talks to the grandchildren for some reason. And like, and the girl, your ping habits are broken. Oh come on! It broke when I already broke once already, and now it's broken again. Hello. It's kind of broken. Extra broken. You can't even. You can't even cancel. You see. It's kind of extra broken. Close the program and reopen it. Alright, should be working now. There we go. Anyways, Templeton's Templeton's habits were not questionable. Were not only questionable, they were disgusting. Whoa, what's his wrong with Templeton? I remember I liking Templeton, even though I don't remember him at all. He slept during the day and only came out at night. He crept along the tunnel and gnawed at things he shouldn't be touching. What best choice describes the function of an sentence? I feel that's kind of, I feel that's discriminatory against nocturnals. Not gonna lie. Explains why Templeton prefers to stay hidden. That's not true. It introduces a contrast between Templeton and other animals in the barn. I guess so. It expresses narratives to prove that's even more so. Describes how Templeton maintains cleanness in the barn. This one's medium. I shouldn't get this one wrong. Yeah, B has a lot more higher thing, but still obviously C. Back to overview. Next, cross-text connection. There's so much to read in these ones. It's easier, but it's like a lot wordier. I do have food here that I'm gonna be eating while I have this cookie here. I have a banana, but I don't think you're allowed to eat during the test. Anyways, based on the text, how would Varma and colleagues from text 2 most likely respond to the conventional wisdom discussed in text 1? So in text 2, dynamic astronomer Lena Varma and colleagues, that's the person. Oop, stupid ad. Interrupting my Mozart. The dynamic astronomer Lena Varma and colleagues connect with the belt's diversity in orbital stirring because these rocky bodies are small and widely spaced. They rarely meet at gentle speeds. Jupiter's resonances continually jostle their paths, turning potential mergers into shattering impacts. In such conditions, direct growth by sticking together happens far less than previous believed, which reduces the kind of head-to-head competition that the older picture assumed. Low-key no idea what she's talking about. Let's see, text one. Astronomer? I think you usually have to I think the strategy is to read 1 and then 2, because 1 gives more context, and 2 is like a counter. Astronomers have long wondered how tens of thousands of asteroids can persist in the main belt between Mars and Jupiter, which is between the terrestrial planets and the gas giants. So that's the one of the asteroid belts. Mars and Jupiter, while within the same star and drawing on the same material, according to conventional wisdom, gravity-driven accretion should let a few bodies sweep up the rest. Few bodies sweep up the rest. I think that's talking about how like they're gonna form one giant body instead of a bunch. So why do so many remain as separate objects after billions of years? Despite many proposed models, researchers still have not yet reached a satisfying explanation. So to give context to what we're talking about, the theory is that if a bunch of remnants follow a same orbital path, they will merge together to form one body, which is similar to how Moon was created when the creator hit Earth and shattered Earth into a bunch of bunch of, like in its own ring, and that ring formed together to create a moon. That's our moon, Luna. And dynamic astronomer Lena Varma and colleagues connect the belt diversity to order stirring. Because these rocky bodies are small and widely spaced, they really meet at gentle speeds. Jupiter's resonance continually jostle their paths, turning potential mergers into shattering impacts. In such conditions, direct growth by sticking probably happens far less than previous believed. It reduces the kind of head-to-head competition that the older picture assumed. Based on tests, however, Varma and colleagues mostly respond to the conventional wisdom discussing text. What? Oh, okay, my bad, guy. Talking is conventional wisdom is mentioned. According to conventional wisdom, gravity-driven creation should let a few bodies sweep up the rest. So why do they not? By argument that it rests on a misconception that how many attributes can merge with one another, how often can merge. By asserting that it ignores the continual delivery of fresh movement from comments, suggesting that their own findings how clever how attributes are able to complete directly with Jupiter's power gravitational. Recommending that more astronomers examine how merger rates among mergers are increased when the typical encounter speeds become higher. I'm keen towards D. Let's look at it again. Like arguing that it rests on the misconception that about how often asteroids can merge with one another in the stirred. How often can merge with one another. I think it's between A and D. Which one's conventional wisdom? I see D. No, my first miss, guys. Jeez, it's A. It's A. And then not even the best one. But suggesting that own findings clarify. Who picked C, bro? Even who picked C is a bum. At least it's less than 50. This is a hard one. Yeah, whatever. D is not correct. It reverses the argument. Text 2 implies higher encounter rates reduce merger rates by causing fragmentation, recommending study how higher rate increase mergers contradicts the mechanism presented and misreads the team's conclusion. Ugh. And A is correct because text 2 argues that mergers among asteroids are infrequent in the stirred belt. This convention assumes that frequent acceleration, yada 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 yada. Yeah, that's embarrassing. No, I got a red check, red cross. Words in context? Words in context, like easy. Environmental scientist Dr. Kashyap Patel blank that innovative water conservation techniques will be crucial for sustaining global populations in the coming decades. Although the timeline is uncertain, her research focuses on exploring methods that could significantly reduce water waste and improve efficiency. Which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase? Let's see, how would this connect to anything else? He either predicts, endures, probes, or abandons. I think that predicts, probably. Predicts that innovative water conservation. he blanked that innovative water conservation techniques will be crucial for setting global. Although the timeless uncertain who as predicted the most one. Oh yeah, look at that. I got it right, so I need to do anything else. This one's no one got it wrong. Yeah, so it'd be embarrassing if I got that wrong. Anyways, next. Oh yeah. Text structure and purpose. The following text is from William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth. WW Walter White guy. William Wordsworth, 1807 poem Ode Intimations of Immortality from Early Childhood. Oh my god, I hate poems. There was a time when meadow, grove, and stream. There was a time when meadow, grove, and stream, the earth and every common sight to me did seem, apparelled in celestial light, the glory and the freshness of a dream. It is not now as it hath been of yore. Turn wheresoever I may, by night or day, the thing which I have seen I can now see no more. So let's simplify this poem. There was a time when the environment, like the earth, the meadows, groves, and streams, like the rivers, the earth itself, and every common sight, like everything nature, to me did seem, to him it seemed like it is dressed in like a heavenly, heavenly, cosmic, uh, light, which is like so beautiful. The glory and the freshness of a dream. This is a hard one, by the way. The glory and the freshness of a dream, like it's how glorified and fresh, is not now as it has been of yore. What is yore? Turn wheresoever I may, by night or day, the things which I have seen, I now can see no more. So he can no longer see the things he can see in his early childhood. Which choice best states the main purpose of this text, to lay me the lesser use of wonders imagination. It's quite how memory allows beauty to be preserved, to praise the natural world for its timeless beauty, to new life. It's obviously A, guys. Yeah, that's too easy. Why is the hard ones like easier than the easy ones? I'm not gonna lie. Is my PNG still working? It is. Let's see. Cross text connections. Oh, not this one again. Let's see. It's a medium one. For decades, transportation policy followed a simple rule. If a highway corridor was congested at lengths and traffic would ease, early post-war projects seemed to confirm this view, with new paveway, delivering smoother flow and shorter trips. The apparent success fostered confidence that congestion falls in predictable stages as capacity increases. A belief that guided many large road programs, yet chronic delays persisted in growing metro areas, prompting recurring debates over whether the old recipe still captures how drivers and networks actually behave. So text one is basically saying, add more lanes, the traffic move faster. However, recent times it doesn't seem to be that way. So debate is occurring where it say, is it actually that effective? And now text two says, glug glug glug. In recent synthesis, transportation researchers Maria Chan and Ma Ortega argues that travel adapts quickly to fresh capacity using sensor data, toll records, and long panel. So they're arguing that travel adapts quickly to a fresh capacity. Using sensor data, toll records, and long panels, they report that added lanes often attract new trips, rerouted drivers, and longer distances within a few years. Some corridors show brief relief followed by a bout of familiar delays. The authors concluded that the relationship between capacity and congestion is not one direction, and that under common strict conditions, the extra space restores queues rather than eliminating them. Based on text, how would Chen and Twiga most likely respond to the conventional wisdom discussed in text 1? Not the conventional wisdom again. Conventional wisdom. Where's this say conventional wisdom? For decades, the highway corridor congested, traffic post work, confused road, way. When your parents said foster convention, doing a brief from the economy does not say conventional wisdom. Mm. Yeah, I didn't say conventional wisdom. This question's wrong. Well, we can assume that conventional wisdom is that more lanes, more better traffic. By conceding, he does not concede, but disputing the claim that congestion reliably declines the traffic by in a step-by-step manner as capacity expands, given evidence that new lanes quickly fill with traffic. That is plausible. By acknowledging that induced demand likely was not a significant factor before smartphones were writing, which just create a larger number of digital trips. By challenging the assumption that early downtown bottlenecks were the original cause of the railing gate, however, it's obviously B. Yeah, it's B. Let's see who got this wrong. People picking A. Really? Yeah. See, we're a third of the way done, it seems, with the first part. There's 4 more parts. Mm. Another is a wording context one, medium. Climate activist Jamie Reynolds asserts that although immediate results are unlikely, she blank that community-driven projects are vital for addressing local environmental challenges. Her efforts focus on empowering neighborhoods to adopt sustainable practices and reduce their carbon footprint. Which choice contemplates? Which should complete the test? The other. She advocates. She doesn't withhold. She observes. I think this one's a bit challenging. She she hold on to the fact that this she firmly believes this. Anticipates not really rejects, definitely not reject. He isn't really observing anything. Withholds. The most best one I also anticipates. I'm not sure. Good job. Let's go. Ugh. Yeah. Let's see. Most people picked observes and D withholds. Yeah, I would have picked observed if I didn't pick anticipates. Let's see. Fits well as a means to expect something in the future which matches her confidence in community efforts. Observed not correct. Implies noticing something is already happening. Yeah. But the student is about to believe in future outcomes, not current observations. Withhold suggests holding back, restraining, which is only to her proactive belief. Rejects means view, it contradicts. Yeah, so everything else contradicts, and anticipates means future, and observes means current. Something I know, a tip about SAT is that you find out why the question is wrong rather than why the question is right. Text structure, which one portion is a home. The following is adapted from a public health article discussing vaccination outreach strategies. To improve vaccine uptake in rural areas, public health officials tested various messaging approaches, including door-to-door campaigns and text reminders. The text-based messages led to only modest increases in vaccination rates, still the authors recommended continuing the use of text messaging because of its scalability and low cost. Which best describes the function is basically to justify the less effective option. And this is the reason others support strategy even though it's produced only limited improvement in outcomes. B highlights the logistical obstacle of MIME is not obstacle. It compares 2 different methods, not really. The question reliability is A. This one's hard. The difficulty is definitely really messed up. Really messed up. I have harder ones. My tutors. My tutor gave me harder ones. Lost text connections medium. Oh, not again. Based on the text, how would the author of text 2 most likely be respond to the overall argument presenting in text 1? Let's see the context. Esports draw huge audiences online and in arenas, but counter, so it's a negative against esports, but they should not be classified as sports. No sports, very debatable. Big topic. By definition, sports are physical contests in which trained bodies display strength, endurance, or speed. Video game tournaments rely on software, strategy, and quick thinking, with only limited bodily exertion. They borrow the language of athletics, yet center on screen events rather than on-field performance. In this sense, esports resemble chess or musical performance more than track or soccer. They therefore fall under the category of sports. Fall outside the category of sports. Good argument, guys. And Texu, what do you have to say? Supporters counter that esports present competitive events through both coordinated physical control and rapid decision making. Without precise hand and arm movement, players cannot execute tactics at all. Standardized rules, officiating, and time limits govern matches, and teams follow rigorous practice schedules that sports and is now studying in labs. Moreover, many accepted sports such as archery, shooting, prize accuracy and composure over heavy exertion. On these grounds, esports qualifies as criteria for sporting events. The first part, I'm like, bro, we're talking about. However, the second part could be convincing, such as archery and shooting kind of sports. I know archery and shooting kind of sports actually. Maybe the text one should say they don't count either. Based on text, how will text two mostly respond to text one? Basically everything she just said. It's basically the whole point of saying. By assuming that criteria beyond raw exertion help define sports more than text one admits. Basically, pointing to position message esports promote rules, training secure objectives. Another one is exposed as universal flying esports, namely the lack of uniform rules. That's fully untrue. By suggesting that some esports possess rule system far more complex than author concedes, which means the difficulty warrants separation condition rather than the classification as sports. No. By agreeing that esports like the regular training scene is such as sports, therefore should be considered entertainment. Say guys. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Here's a medium one. Back to overview. You only have one wrong so far. I think one wrong is like 10 points off. And 10 points, we're basically at 1590 right now. Words in context. Without significant advancements in marine exploration, scientists are unlikely to ever have blank understanding of the creatures living at the deepest part of the ocean, as these regions remain largely unexplored and inaccessible. Nah. Without significant investment, you're unlikely to ever have blank to have a good. Without significant investments in exploration, I'll never have a good understanding of the marine creature living. I have like a unclear, maybe a crystal, a sturdy understanding. If there are, we just may only like I'll only to ever have a comprehensive. Good job. It's easy, right? Medium, whatever. We'll pick intuitive environment, guys. Come on. Text structure and purpose. The following is from it's excerpt from Thomas Hardy's 1974 novel Borrowed from Madding Crowd. The character Gabriel Og is reflecting on his surroundings as night falls. My throat hurts. It's been 30 minutes. Gabriel had often observed the transformation from familiar landscape at dusk, but never had the change seem so sudden or so complete. He's saying how he observed the transformation many times, is familiar with it, but never seen it so sudden before. So this is the first time. The field is literally loud with the click of shears and voices lead under the hush as if the earth had drawn in its breath. He stood still, listening for something more, something yet to be said by the silence. So basically, they been before they were like pretty loud. They were filled with loud with clicks, but now, today, and this time, it's very quiet, as if the earth had drawn in its breath. Yeah, it contrasts the quiet evening with the earlier noise of the day. Introduces a question, establishes certain response. A. Thank you. This one's a hard one. The hard ones are like annoying. The hard ones are like pretty good accuracy rates for some reason. I can see people's picking D. Definitely not B and C though. Another hard one, cross-sex connections. How would text 2 most likely respond to claims in text 1 about strict... Yeah, whatever. How would text 2 respond to text 1? That's all I need. Little to known about how adults master a second language to a native-like level. For decades, many scholars have argued that a critical period ends near adolescence. After that, reduced brain plasticity makes full acquisition improbable. So basically saying it's pretty much impossible as an adult to learn a second language. Well, it's more improbable. A keyword. They point to laboratory tasks where adults lag behind child learners and to imaging studies that show different activation patterns. In this view, intensive adult programs can teach communication skills but rarely produce native-like proficiency. This interpretation has shaped policy and testing in many countries, even as debates continue to bug the limits of adult learning. So text one is saying how adults are much more difficult to learn more new tasks such as languages, and it's practically improbable they will ever be proficient at it. Yeah, so if low-key, if anyone wants to learn a new language, better start now, or else when you're like 20, you'll be like old and like dinosaur fossiled. You have 3 viewers. You have 3 views. Not 2 viewers. You have concurrent, no one's here anymore. Riptone, Barry died. I couldn't see the view count. Okay. Text 2. Ultimately, any strong claim about age dimension rests on broad empirical records. Linguist Nora Fielding and her team pulled data from thousands of adult learners who used years of emergent and explicit instruction. Many reached near native scores on demanding comprehension and grammar tests. In separate studies, highly proficient adults showed brain responses that matched those of native speakers during rapid sentence processing. Fielding argues that these results weaken the assumption of a hard cutoff and suggest that input time instruction is determine the attainable ceiling for adult learners. Yeah, so text 2 directly contradicts text 1, saying how Input 10 on instruction often just like bypasses the brain plasticity requirement that text 1 believes is a summing of the ceiling. How do text 2 most likely respond to text 1 about strict critical period for adults like language learning? By arguing that many adults can reach outcomes commercially in citing large behavioral data sets and neural evidence that challenges the strict age funding. More pretty A. By asserting that critical period still holds, but only for pronunciation, not grammar or comprehension. That's not really correct. By suggesting that claims about reduced plasticity rely too much on small samples and narrow laboratory tests that fail to reflect. I feel like A is much more connected to their argument, recommending that future studies focus less on exposure, instructions, and more on genetic differences. Yeah, that's not true. A. Good job. I was like, seems like this one's pretty much agreed on A. Really, whether the hard ones are all like high good score, low bad scores. Well, these are all under crafts and structure, and these ones are information and ideas. I'm not sure like how it's gonna change. If I want to keep going on this one for now. Words in context. This one's hard. The migratory patterns of certain bird species are remarkably coordinated, with entire flocks traveling thousands of miles to reach warmer climates during the winter months. Scientists have discovered that these birds achieve this blink through subtle communication signals and environmental cues that help them maintain formation and timing during their long flight time. So it's basically saying how like the birds use birds. And basically saying scientists have discovered that these birds achieve this migration patterns through subtle communication signals and environmental cues that help them to. What does it matter? It's about the blank. Scientists have discovered that these birds achieve this disruption alignment. Definitely the most clearly between cooperation and alignment. Cooperation. It's the beginning part is mostly talking about how they're so coordinated. Entire flying. Cooperation. Not really helping each other and more so they're more so aligned. Yeah. I think a lot of people pick A. Oh, look at that. 50%. 50%, pretty much 50% picked A. Cooperation implies working together, which is somewhat related but does not specifically capture the idea of precise positioning and timing during flight. Isolation doesn't obviously out. Alignment manages the idea of coordinated movement and formation, making it the most logical choice. See how I'm making the most logical choice? Like that. Make structure and purpose. It's like 4 hard ones in a row. The next easy one is in 4. The hard one's pretty easy anyway, so it doesn't matter. Text structure and purpose. Which is better the function of the underlying sentence and passage as a whole. In ecological studies of coral reef systems, scientists have long observed that reef style diversity is closely linked to the presence of grazing herbivores such as parrotfish and surgeonfish. There's a saying that grazing herbivores are the reason why there's a big biodiversity in coral reefs. So the coral ecosystem is closely linked to the presence of grazing herbivores. These species maintain algal algae populations in check, therefore allowing coral larvae to successfully fully settle and grow. It's crazy how like corals are actually animals and not plants. If you look at them, they clearly look like plants. They talk about they have larvae, right? That's like crazy. And people live inside the coral, so like that's like someone living inside. That's like bacteria. That's like a cockroach living inside of you. Think about that. Except they're good for you somehow. That's like how about the ecosystem? In systems where herbivorous fish was removed, whether through overfishing or habitat degradation, algal algal overgrowth can lead to phase shifts in which coral-dominated ecosystems are replaced by algal-dominated ones. This transition has been associated with significant loss of biodiversity, yada yada. But it's hard to compare and contrast of how like if you it's talking about like the cause and effect. If you remove herbivore fish, you go from coral dominated ecosystem to algae dominated ones. Reverse the transition was associated with the significant but the source difficult to reverse once established. Recent researchers have focused on whether targeted interventions such as introduce of herbivorous fish species with artificial rich function can restore core dominance, but results remain inconsistent due to variation in local nutrient levels, water temperature, and human activities.
Guys, pretend like you're holding up the building behind you. Make sure. Yeah.
So many ads here. Very annoying. Where were we? The only one is obviously like a cause and effect. You do this, the consequences of this. Which is best describes the function of the underlying sentences in the passage as a whole. It presents the ecological consequences of removing a key functional group from coral reefs ecosystems. Thus, definitely the urgency behind the restoration efforts discussed later in the passage. Basically, everything I said. There's no A's right now. Introduces an exception to the typical relationship. No, it defines a common feature. I only think it's obviously A. So no one better got this one, man. Doing pretty good. Have one strong for us. A bit tiring just speaking so much. This cross-sex connection. I'm feeling a bit sick lately, I think. Based on text, how will the other text 2 respond to text 1? Photo essays are increasingly popular in the news outlets, but they should not be classified as a journalism. By definition, journalism conveys information through language alone. Photo essays communicate through images and use language only sparingly, in captions and short blurbs. Readers experience a photo essay as a sequence of pictures and then written reporting, which makes the form closer to gallery art than to journalism. In this view, the core of journalism is extended prose that explains events, so photo essays fall outside that category. I largely disagree. Because journalism is all about like reporting information. As long as information is reported, that's what journalism is. If you're like that, by that definition, you're basically wanting journalism to be about like the humanist, the yeah, whatever. Yeah, if you by the but that extent you're viewing journalism as something to be like appreciated, more artful, and more and the prohibitionism is much more closer to art than what you said of the photojournalism towards art. Photo essays present the reporting through both language and images. Without captions, sequencing notes, and shortcut block, readers will not know who is pictures, what happened, and why it mattered. The account emerges from the interaction of the text and image. Moreover, the acclaimed photo essays in major newspapers include writing that meets the standards of carefully reporting and clear style. Therefore, photo essays qualify as journalistic work. Based on however, to say text one, she would basically say, "Oh, yeah, journalism is actually cool because the interaction, the importance of the language used in photojournal essays is important to the understanding and comprehension of the essay, rather and is not just the picture itself. By arguing that journalism is not confined to prose alone, that's not true. Which use captions and assuming acknowledging that has one correctly depends on universal weakness in the essay, namely the certain language support the fact that yeah, but no, that's not true. That's suggesting that some photo essays are hard to follow than text one admits, which complicates perception, beliefs, and better treated as this. By agreeing that photo essays like rigorous reporting lacking content should therefore be regarded pointless visual. That's not true. By arguing that hey, good job, short explanation. Overwhelmingly correct. Let me take a banana real quick. Yeah, we don't need to read the explanation. It's obviously A. That one was a medium one. We have a couple more before I think we're pretty much halfway, a bit more than halfway done with the first one. In the real SAT, you need to be a lot faster than this. And since I'm speaking out loud, I think I'm gonna give myself a break on that regard. The next is medium. Do you think a banana's like really sticky for some reason? Like one part's like sticky. Oh, there's a brown spot. There's no trash cans near me, so I'm just gonna eat the brown spot. Yuck. We just got this like yesterday. Why is it still brown already? Oh. Words in context. The word synchronized. Oh, there's a different version of this. The moment I stepped off the train, I was struck by how efficiently everything worked. The station staff, luggage handlers, and even the loudspeakers calling out departure times all seemed so precisely synchronized that there was no need for anyone to hesitate or ask for help. It was as though the whole place ran on invisible rails of logic. Synchronized. Synchronized, unified, controlled. Synchronized basically means unified. I always shift between unified and controlled. I'm leaning more towards A, but control's like, oh, they're like in sequence, so I go with A. Yeah, I feel like A and B. Yeah, a lot of people picked B. I think people who picked D just didn't know. C and D just didn't know what synchronized means for some reason. Guys, if you're in high school, you know what synchronized means. Unified correct. Synchronized refers to all the components of the station working together in harmony, which matches the meaning of unified, controlled. While not totally off, yes, not totally off. Control emphasizes authority or dominance, which is unfair with a tone of ease and mutual efficiency. Control described in passage too rigid. I guess I can say that. So not only you have to connect the meaning, you have to think about the tone too. But about an easy 1600 on this next. Then that's a T Brown. This one's easy. In the late 1800s, Jane Addams co-founded the Whole Horse in Chicago. Let's do the text first. According to the text, what did Jane Addams co-found in Chicago? The Whole House, one of the first settlements houses in the United States. Let's be more. Jane Addams. In the late 1800s, that's the progressive era. The Whole House, it's like first settlement housing in America. Settlement houses was that Whole House provides social services such as childcare, education, legal aid to immigrants and working poor. Basically, the immigrants, the poor immigrants that come. Tenements stuff. Addams' work on Whole inspired broader efforts to address poverty, education, and women's rights. In 1931, she became the first American woman awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her commitment to social reform and international peace efforts. According to that award, Jane co-founded a settlement house helping support immigrants and poor. And no one got this wrong. We need to read more. Really? Hey, come on, guys. These better be like misclicks. Just saying. Another conventional wisdom. Jeez. Based on the test, how would Raymond and colleagues from Text 2 most likely respond to conventional wisdom discussed in Text 1? So Text 1. Urban ecologists have long wondered how both crows and ravens can thrive in the same cities while feeding on many of the same resources. According to conventional wisdom, they actually said it this time. According to conventional wisdom, one species could should eventually displace the other after out-competing it for food. Natural selection, yada yada. Yet both birds continue to expand across large metropolitan regions. Expand across large metropolitan regions. Field surveys and casual observations have produced many partial explanations, but none has fully solved the puzzle of the coexistence. If crows and ravens truly overlap in dining habit, why does one not prevail? Researchers still lack a satisfactory account that explains how closely related scavengers persist side by side in crowded urban landscapes. I mean, if there is enough food, eventually they're just going to coexist. There's no need for to replace the other if there's enough food. If there is not enough food, then they will replace each other. Ornithologists Freya Raymond and colleagues connect this coexistence to a fine scale of separation in time and space. Using GPS tags, camera traps, and stable isotope analysis, they found that crows concentrate around schoolyards and parks during daylight, while ravens favor early morning loading docks and taller rooftops. The birds also differ in flight height and perch choice, which limits direct encounter at food resources. Raymond's team concluded that apparent overlap mass reduced interactions in city microhabitat and daily schedule differences likely make head-to-head competition between crows and ravens much less common than previously assumed. The conventional wisdom is saying how eventually they will replace each other. Text 2, she will say, oh, because they although they do stay in the same region, they find themselves in different locations, such as ravens, when crows in schoolyards and ravens in high rooftops. So, yeah, just find something that matches my explanation. By arguing that it exists, it's a misconception about how often crows eventually compete directly for the same. Basically, it's kind of the same thing as the last one, where like, oh, misconception about how often they actually hit heads. Be assuming that overlooks the study influx of human wolf race to say that. Cross out B. By suggesting that their findings mainly clarify how crows and ravens are able to compete with other doing rap. And now C, it's like really C is pretty weird. I recommend that more teachers study how information between people will increase. And these makes no sense. Good job, who got this wrong? No one. Words in context, medium. Ugh. Sorry, guys. I finished my banana. Ugh. There it goes. The following text clear out my nasal cavities. Deep breaths. I already know that thing. Nasal cavities full of mucus. The following text is adapted from Jane Austen's 1811 novel Sense and Sensibility. Eleanor Dashwood and her sister Marianne are discussing the differing views on emotional restraints. As seen in this passage, what does the word govern most nearly mean? Govern obviously means like control, to like maintain, manage. Eleanor, this eldest daughter whose advice are so effectual, possessing a strength of understanding, coolness, and judgment. Oof. Qualify her through, though only 19, to be the counselor of her mother. Counselor of her mother. She had an excellent heart, her disposition was affectionate, and her feeling was strong, but she knew how to govern them. It was to like manage them, was suppressed. Ooh, limits, strong. Ooh, this one's so hard. She had an excellent heart, her disposition was affectionate, her feelings were strong, but she knew how to govern them. It was knowledge, which, yeah, too. Oh, life was full of factual, possessed strength of understanding, coolness of judgment, would qualify as overwhelming to be concept of leadership. At the heart, her disposition was affectionate, feeling was strong, but she knew how to govern them. Doesn't really say much about suppressing or limiting. Limit, suppress, I think they were similar. So let's say control here. Good job. Let's say people get thrown wrong. No, I guess I'm the only one struggling. I guess. Limit is wrong. Is not right, correct, because implies reducing or restricting something which is close but not precise. Ellen doesn't want to limit her strength. She manages them. Suppress. Too extreme. Ellen's feelings were strong affection, she doesn't suppress them entirely. Control, correct. Eleanor was strong emotions, but she knows how to manage or regulate them. This allows to govern in this context, which is D. Only one that's so ugly. Ugh. If the whole SAT to be this easy, jeez. Put me in Harvard. Deep breaths. Text structure and purpose. Level hard. It's a poem again. Come on. The following text from Rudyard Kipling's 1910 poem, If. If you can meet with triumph, disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth is spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stood and build them up with worn out tools. If you can meet with triumph and disaster, treat those two impostors just the same. So, just saying, triumph and disaster is like a social construct, I guess. If you can bear to hear the truth spoken, twisted by rogue to make trap for fools, so twisted by like bandits to make trap for fools. So bear to hear the word, like the kindness of the true intention you speak, to be twisted by like corrupt politicians to make trap for fools, like out of context, I guess. Or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stood and filled them up with worn out tools. Which represents the purpose of the test. Emphasis on value and patient humility and intuition. How no? B. To have life qualities that define emotional resilience. No. To there's like major more control. Clear tradition of success feel as worthy goals. This one's hard. It's hard. It's not A and B. It's so C or D. To suggest that the life's major moments were mostly out of one's control is not really to. That seems D. Most likely D. Ah! Ah! B? To learn qualities to define emotional resilience. What? So D is not correct. The speed doesn't reject the set for failure but entirely, but urges viewing them with emotional detachments. The goal is not to dismiss them but to avoid being ruled by them. Ugh, I hate poems. If you see a poem, burn it, bro. I swear. Poems are the bane of man. To control for emotion resilience. Be correct. The lines speak for endurance, for enduring hardship, maintaining perspective, and continue with results despite loss or misrepresentation. How much emotional resilience and strong character this best captures purpose of text. If you can bear to hear the truth is spoken. It's not a full poem. How am I supposed to know whether the full poem? Ugh. It's not C, although the poem mentions uncontrollable events like triumph disaster, does not suggest passivity. It instead promotes active emotional control and personal. Ugh. Yeah, this one sucked. It's 2. How many questions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, it's right here. 23, 30. So just 2 wrong. My average is like 3 wrong, I think, per round. This isn't good. It isn't good, guys. It isn't good. I need water. I wonder what the average scores for this is. Uh, Based on text, how would orders and Kim from text 2 will allow you to respond to Stowe's finding from text 1? When cities convert mixed traffic lanes into protected bus lanes, officials often claim that commuters will benefit through faster and more reliable trips. Transportation analyst Renee Solis tested this notion on a bus Midtown corridor by modeling schedules, signal timing, and turning movements. Her simulations calibrated its probe vehicle data indicating that average door-to-door travel time for drivers and many bus drivers rising first year after this conversion. The model delays reflected new turn restrictions, longer pedestrian phases, and spillback intersections that block side streets. Concluded that, contrary to the stated goal, creating the bus filling facility on that corridor will likely make most commuters worse off. So basically, the goal is to make sure making a bus lane. Therefore, officials claim that the commuters will benefit through faster, more reliable trips. Maybe it's like talking about mostly the bus commuters, because regular commuters I would not think they would. Transportation did this notion. They modeled a schedule of signal timing and turning events. It's just a simulation though. Calibrate that pro vehicle data indicate that average door-to-door servicing will rise in the first year after 200. Model delays reflected new turn restrictions, longer pedestrian phases, and spillback interconnection. I mean, will make most commuters worse off. I think the average door travel time travel times will rise. That's saying like this takes more time to go from door to door. It does not mean that they are faster. Facts 2. Urban economist Malik Ortiz and Sora Kim argue that evaluation will stream reallocation fixate on short windows and single corridor metrics. Oh! I fell. Drawing on multi-year data from several European and Latin American cities, they show that protected bus lanes can trigger network adaptation, better shifts routines, agency read time signals, and driver change departure times or modes. Often these adjustments of average person throughput and trip reliability tend to improve citywide. Ortiz and Kim contend that efficiency gains materialize over several years, so near-term quarter slowdowns should not be taken as the final word on commuter welfare. What did she say again? I was totally not paying attention. Obviously, evaluation of street location, fixing on short windows and single quarter metrics, drawing on multi-year data, several they show that bus numbers can trigger network fluctuations, rider series routes, agency read time signals, and average change. Often these suggestions may average person throughout the trip tend to improve statewide. So saying city one is like short-term windows, to saying it's not, but if you look at long-term, it's gonna be good. However, what test time text do, like response to this finding, they would recommend as well as compare the near-term effects on midtown travels to result with a different quarter within our city. They were good over the long-term over cost of them would be also rise to the efficiency. No. They were encouraged studies to investigate whether the model increases persist after network over a long period. I think it's pretty C. Yeah, no. This one's like pretty spread out, I guess. Back to overview. Shooter, I'm so disgusted. Ugh. Ah. And this one's not hard. Ugh. I wonder if they take more points off for getting wrong on a easy compared to a hard. Because let's assume you get it wrong on easy and kind of extra points off of that one, you know. Words in context. Although satellite imagery has greatly improved weather forecasting, it isn't blank. The images often fail to show underlying conditions such as shifting air currents or temperature at low altitudes. Which choice completes the test for the most logical and precise word or phrase? Although satellite imagery has greatly improved weather forecasting, I'll look at this. Although it isn't, although it has greatly improved, it isn't perfect. The image often fails to show underlying conditions such as shifting airflow Its lower altitude isn't flawless. Visible, complete, independent, easy. What is it? What's this? A hard? This is a hard? Come on. Try me, bitch. You know, earlier today I drew. Look at my Twitter. So earlier today I drew yesterday I think. I drew a lizard girl. It was really hard to make a lizard girl like cute. I wanted to make her cute because she's supposed to like be one of the main characters, and you want the main character to look like appealing. That's kind of how like main characters work. There are times when you don't want to make a character be appealing, like I guess suppose like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. But even in non-Hunchback of Notre Dame, the character's still appealing in some way, even though conventionally he's obviously completely messed up. There's still like a facial like expression in him that's appealing. So even though his face is messed up, he's still appealing, physically. That's a tip for like designers. You don't want your character to be absolutely messed up. You want the character to be appealing and attractive, even if they are not. There's no exceptions to your main character not being attractive. You know, like Hunchback Notre Dame, for example, he's not conventionally attractive, but he still have appeal, physical appeal to him. Just like basically like expressions, he's how like, round his face is. That's it. Even though the story is still round, just keep that in mind. Following text is adapted from Mail on the Floss, 1860 by George Eliot, British novelist. In this excerpt, the narrator reflects on the differing temperaments of two siblings, which was best to stress function of the underlying text structure and purpose. Maggie had always been a tempest, restless, wild in thought, and full of sudden fears and laughter. So very erratic, very like sudden, very like unpredictable. You were saying. I have a phone call. Okay, I'm back. Anyways, Maggie had always been a tempest, restless, wild in thought, sudden tears and laughter. Contrast. Tom, by contrast, was steady as a riverbank, really swayed by the passions. He was the sort of person who would build walls against the storm, while Maggie danced in the rain. I react to juxtaposition. The father, loving both, often found himself caught between admiration for Tom's resolve and confusion in Maggie's volatility. Yet, in moments of quiet, even he seemed to wonder whether walls were dancing better amid life's tempest. Which of this function is just difficult. Anything that says like comparison, juxtaposition, or contrast. Yeah. The critique. A highest emotional intensity between follows. No. Use metaphor to illustrate the fundamental difference between the differences. Read that differences. The sentence does not have anything to do with father. So anything that says father, father cross that out. Father cross that out. critique, cross that out. This is medium. Fuck medium, bro. Ooh, the 1% who picked D, the probably like the rounding everywhere, maybe. It should not be 1%. It should definitely be like 1.1%. 0.1%, I'd say. Yeah, so I've been watching a new anime by the Full Metal Alchemist author. I tried watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but I couldn't get past episode 3, which is when the dog incident happened. It happened a lot sooner than I thought. It was episode 3, so like, oh, that quick? I thought it'd be like he'll be like a end game villain type deal, but he's not. So I was like kind of disappointed that he ended up dying like in one episode, even though he's talked about so much. These hard cross-test connections. What does two say to one, right? How would takes two respond to one? Public libraries that drop late fees often promise broader access, but the policy can carry cost. An analysis to Marcel Levin modeled a large city system's first year shift to fine-free lending, so lending in bulk without any fines. Calibrating the transaction logs and staff time studies to project a lower revenue, longer queues for popular titles, and a small rise in very overdue items. Added customer surrender costs and reminder notices absorbed hours once spent on programs conclude that at least in the near term, eliminating fines will leave patrons waiting longer while the system faces tighter budgets and higher operating burden. Her report urged caution against before scaling the policy beyond a pilot. My chair doesn't have like a one. My chair is missing a wheel. Let's see. Library researchers Damon Ruse and Alicia Porter argue that evaluations of the fine-free policy stopped too soon. Using multi-year evidence from dozens of systems, they find that car renewals rise, materials are returned at higher rates after improved outreach, and circulation expands in neighborhoods with past debt blocks. Processing costs fall when staff start handling coin boxes and appeals, and grants and small donations offset lost fees, 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 fees. Processing costs fall when staff stop handling coin boxes and appeals, and grant and small donations offset lost fees. After 2 to 3 budget cycles per loan cost and host of stabilize, Ruse and Porter contend that early disruptions are real but temporary, and that long-run patron engagement and efficiency gains should guide these sessions. You know how was it? As the same as the bus one. Short-term bad, long-term good. They also suggest comparing short-term effects on Lewin City with outcomes from the city. No. They will argue that over time, operating costs for fine free system increase further, which cancels any gains. No. They will encourage Levin to test whether the projected delays and budget restrictions persist after 2 or more years. Easy. These are the same ones. You can repeat of the same wording too. These are too easy. It's kind of like those Kahoot games where you see the same once you see the same question, you just see the same answer. We have 3 more, then we're moving on to information and ideas. With the thing about information and ideas, I'm not sure the difference this crafting structure. There's new different ones. You have inference, central ideas and details, command of evidence textual. Ooh, and then the third one has boundaries, form, structure, and sense. Boundaries. Ooh. And then there's rhetorical synthesis transitions. Ooh. Ooh. This is tough. We don't have too much time,
Auto
so
insurance all seems the same until it's time to use it.
what the
With
music run
USAA,
out?
it's easy to file.
I gotta restart or something? No. Well, what is important is that I feel like once we finish these three, we're gonna do 10 rotations of 10 for each of these, so that we go through all the necessary ones. This one works in concept. We'll speed run through this one. Because of many artifacts discovered at the excavation site lacked inscription or clear historical records, museums found them difficult to and had to rely on contextual clues to form educated guesses about the original function. Hard to lack encryption or clear historical records, museum curators found them difficult to preserve, not display, not identify. Let's say identify is closest. Yeah. Since it emphasizes the effort lacked records, so the curse could guess what they were, identify precisely capture the origins. The next is the textual purpose. Oh, poem Emily Dickinson. Of course, Emily Dickinson. Which is the overall structure of the text. I'll tell you how the sun rose, a ribbon at a time. The steeple swam in amethyst. The news the squirrels rang. The hills untied their bonnets. The bobblings began. Then I said softly to myself, that must have been the sun. But how he said, I know not. I know not. There seemed a purple star. The little yellow boys and girls were climbing all the while, so when they reached the other side, a dominating gray put gently on the evening bars and led the flock away. They seemed to be purple star. The little yellow boys and girls were climbing all the while, till they reached the other side. The chronological account of benchmarking in the village, it compares the rising setting of sunset. Well, not the scenes. Rising doesn't. Upper and fourth division of primary songs at continuous progression. It's not D. Let's just see. Yes! Georgia follows the song's journey from warranty Vinny reaching using rich metaphorical language to place both samurai sons as part of a continuous natural cycle. This best captures the poem progression and class. It's not A. I was hooked on A. While the poem may appear to follow a sequence, it is not in a little village with actual events. It uses symbolic language, not a factual, straightforward account of village happenings. And B is Stephen's dominating many both just imagery. The comparison is broader and more metaphorical than just a church sense, focused on natural traditions and less focused church activities. Cross context connections. How does text 2 say about text 1? Anthropologist Mayo Laird and Leakes and colleagues measured carbon and nitrate isotope ratios in bone collagen from burials in 2 river valleys. He reported that thing 13C and 15N. The value is consistent with heavy reliance on maize by about 500C. Maize is corn, if you don't know. Ooh. Laird's team argues that these signatures support a region-wide shift to intensive maize farming and storage. Broadly similar to later historical accounts, the authors contend that isotopes provide the clearest line of evidence available for diet and land use at the time. finding that communities have already adopted field systems could sustain large settlements. However, Text 2 claims that archaeologist David Corbett and Lena Shaw maintains that bulk collagen are often overinterpreted as markers of maize agriculture. Similar values can arise from marine fish consumption and arid zone plants, or trophic level changes in freshwater settings. They note that the layered study did not incorporate compound-specific amino acid analysis. Enamel carbonate data were plant microfossils from tools and dental calculus, which could separate these possibilities. Corbett and Shaw concluded that without such complementary evidence, claims about an early region-wide maize regime likely would rest on an incomplete reading of the available signals. It's pretty straightforward. How is this hard? I don't know. Okay, as unexpected. It's not as premature because Julian has only using isotope and leading 2 based on information for firmly dietary references. As questionable, as puzzling as be. What? I didn't read it? Oh my god. I'm crash out on this. Oh, I guess. Yeah. It's obviously senile. I can't much mad about this. What did I say? 3 wrong. That's always 3 wrong. Damn it. Oh my god. Well, I guess, know what they say. Know what they say. You make mistakes in practice so you don't make them in the test. So what are the mistakes so far? Read the question carefully. Think about whatever this is. Poems. Stupid poems. Yeah. So it's I'm crying. Fuck. Just to make sure to. Now we're done with the first part. I'm gonna do 10 of these, and then 10 of these, and then 10 of these. We leave algebra till Friday. Or math till Friday, not algebra. And then let's start these 10 of these. Something's in my eye. The following text from Charlotte Bronte's 1947 novel January, the place at her time of her the central ideas and details. It's that what is true about Jane. This is hard. So I guess central ideas just about facts. I resisted all the way. So narrators, Jane. I resisted all the way. A new thing for me and a circumstance which greatly strengthened the bad opinion Bessie and Miss Abbott were disposed to entertain of me. Fact is, I was truthful beside myself. Rather, I was conscious that a moment's mutiny had already rendered me liable to strange penalties. Like any other rebel slaves, so she's a rebel slave. I feel resolved, even in desperation, to go all out. Lend her arms, Miss Abbott. She's like a mad cat, she said. She shall be tied down with a cry. She feels around by every one face which is hard for me. She's not overwhelmed, she's like stern. It's obviously D. Oh my god! What is this? Not. She's overwhelmed. She's not. She's not overwhelmed. Hello? A trifle beside herself compares herself to a rebel slave showing compares herself. She's like any other rebel slave. So she is a rebel slave. She's not comparing herself to a rebel slave. She is a rebel slave. Showing that her defiance emotional, provoked by cruelty. Yeah, piss off. He does not claim she isn't what she did. Ugh. Who even is she? Oh, she's out of school. Yeah, whatever. Fuck me. Yeah, I'm failing. Uh, see you guys at community college. So, mistake number 2, beware. Read the context of the book of DC, the excerpt, the following carefully. The following tab adapted from Willa Cather. We should like underline it. The tab we're gonna like highlight. The following text adapted from Willa Cather's 1913 novel O Pioneers. In this scene, 1913 novel, Willa Cather, I'm assuming there's like Euro America. 1913. Just during the Reformation era, and if this is Europe, it's basically World War One. Initially, as alleged, her younger brother who has been away from their family barn in Nebraska for many years. It's America. So this is Reformation. So Nebraska is it's a rural area, so it's not Reformation. So I don't know what it says. So pioneers. Writes a letter to her young brother who has been away. Which quotation from Alexander most is her sense of responsibility to the family or in her brother's absence. I do not know how the orchard has lived through the summer. Everything was so dry. I hauled water every third day for the young trees. The yellow rosebush by the windmill is still blooming. I believe it likes the hard weather. I cannot get anyone to help mend the pasture fence, so the cows keep getting out. Suppose you never think of the old place, but sometimes it seems as if it were thinking of you. Her sense of responsibility. It's not B. A is probably it. More C though. D is like reminiscing of you, like, oh, we're thinking about you. It's not really about her sense of responsibility. A shows commitment, but C shows like really tough. I'm really bad at the second one, bro. So what is it not A? I haul water every day for young trees. It does not show how like it shows commitment rather than C it is. Oh my god. I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna kiss myself, bro. Ugh. I do not know what your gloves through. Yeah. Showing sense of responsibility about hauling water every day could consider labor. But why she should learn what others are doing rather than what she is doing. Ugh. Too wrong. Oh my god. This one's easy. Easy one. Let's go. Easy quantitative. Which choice most effectively uses data from table to complete the text? For sustainability challenge, the students design an energy system for a region that receives limited direct sunlight during winter months. The solar panel must not require direct sunlight, but also we should also have the highest possible efficiency under those conditions. Based on that, we should decide to select the efficiency rate requires sunlight. No, we just need no. We use Sunova. Too easy. Cloud effect's not even in here. Let's see. Inferences. In a study exploring behavioral rigidity in animals, researchers observed the foraging habits of raccoons, a species known for its adaptability. While presented with puzzle boxes that dispenses food only after specific levers were manipulated in particular sequences, raccoons initially struggled, eventually learned the correct sequence. However, once the mechanism was slowly altered, requiring a different order, the raccoons persisted using the original strategy even when it is no longer resulting in food. This behavior consistent across multiple individuals, suggesting that raccoons are capable of using trial and error to solve novel problems, but are less flexible when previous learned must be abandoned. A is pretty legit. We should. Okay, second, make sure another mistake do not make. Always read all the answers, because you never know which one's more better than the previous one you chose. We're back to central ideas and details hard. So here's a video of the first one. If we get this wrong, I'm gonna jump a rope. Right, I'm gonna jump rope. I'm gonna hear it all loud. Whole neighborhood that's gonna hear it. It's 1892. It is a abolitionist. Pretty early for an abolitionist, not gonna lie. Still standard, but 18. No, it's not 18. No, it's not early. Abolitionist. 92. This is 40 years after abolition happened. No, not happened 60. The end is 67, I think. So it's like 20 years after. I guess he could still be alive. Anna Julia Cooper is often remembered for her 1892 work, A Silent from the South. A Silent Voice? What is considered one of the first major texts of black feminist thought. Cooper argued that the uplift of black community depended. It's a main idea. Cooper argued that the uplift of black communities depended not only on racial equality but also gender justice. She emphasized the intellectual moral injustice of black women, insisting that they seem as a central participant in political and educational process. Her essays, delivering the forms of lectures and rhetorical appeals, challenged the dominant ideologies of her time, calling her inclusive vision not shaped by the voice of black women. Who stood in 1970 position by the British literature. Cooper's teaching often took the form of personal reflection that focused on challenges faced. No. Although Cooper was probably known for his teacher, her influence on literary circles clearly no. Cooper's ideas were almost ignored during her lifetime, but were either by later generations from them. That is not the idea. Oh yeah. Ooh. Come back. Come back. What's up with this, by the way? You guys messed up. Oh, but it says that B is correct. What's up with that? Oh yeah. Now it's time for command of evidence textual hard. It's a harder version of number 2. If I get this wrong, I'm fully. Oh. Or which finding, if true, will most directly undermine Raymond's. Oh my god. So many ads. So I guess it's been So it's roughly been almost 2 hours since we've been doing this now. We're still gonna keep going, of course, but which finding of true must undermine Raymond's hypothesis, so it contradicts and deletes Raymond's hypothesis because Raymond sucks. Raymond's back at it again, it seems. In an effort to understand the ecological role of elephants in forced environments, biologist Anika Raymond conducted research on tropical regions where elephants populations have either remained stable, been reduced, or have been completely removed due to habitat loss or human conflict. Raymond observed that in areas where elephants were absent, the forest understory, the layer of vegetation beneath the forest canopy became denser over time, inhibiting the growth of new saplings and reducing plant diversity. In contrast, in areas with stable elephant populations, the understory remained relatively open, allowing sunlight to reach the forest floor and enabling a greater variety of plant species to thrive. Based on these observations, Raymond hypothesized that elephants act as an ecosystem engineer, helping to maintain plant diversity by trampling or feeding on fast-growing shrubs that would otherwise dominate the understory. So anything that contradicts how elephants are actually bad, I guess. In several regions where elephant populations have remained stable, we should have observed high levels of plant diversity in both understory and canopy region. Yeah, that's how you say. In some areas where elephants were removed, researchers documented an initial increase in fast-growing shrubs and trees, but long-term decline in total plant species thickens. See, in multiple forests with stable elephant populations, the understory is found to be just as dense as in forests where elephants have multiple forests with stable elephant. It's A and C. Maybe my understanding will undermine me. Undermine. Oh, Yahoo. Erode balance mission. Lessen the effectiveness. Weaken. Oh wait, A is obviously wrong. A is so wrong, oh my god. I need to read more carefully, jeez. Yeah, A proves it, B proves it. In multiple stable understory was found to be just as dense as in forests that have been established for decades. Regions that have never been present historically. I say C because D is about never have been presented historically. So let's see. Yeah. This is consistent with Raymond's hypothesis but not contradictory. It supports the idea that elephants remain high. This might seem contradictory at first, but it's not strong enough to undermine hypothesis. Though regions may have different ecological dynamics, Raymond's claims only applies to regions where elephants were once present, so this is not direct contradiction. Pretty tough. It's pretty even, this one. This one's pretty even. Almost got tripped by A. Somehow. Been real bad if I did. A bad command of evidence. Seems to like repeating. Yeah. So I might actually go up to 12 for this one. because repeats in force. Once we do the 12, I might take a little break. It's like a couple minute break. Just scroll on Twitter for a bit. Top 4 eagle species by average wingspan. Philippines, the highest wingspan. Bald eagles, followed by golden eagles and harpy eagle. Average wingspan is measured of the distance from one wingtip to the other when birds' wings are already fully extended. The team of ornithologists estimated the average wingspan of various eagle species. The team found that the species with the largest wingspan have a wingspan of at least 30 centimeters wider. The largest average wingspan have wingspan, which is the Philippine eagle. It has 30 centimeters above wider. So 30 centimeters wider than the. It's not the Philippine eagle. Philippine is largest. How many meters? So which one will be 30? 30 would be like this, just like this tall. So it wouldn't be this one. This one's like 40. This one looks more like 40-ish. Between harpy and golden. But this one looks like 2.2, this 3.4. I'm not sure. Really in between golden and harpy. And I'm back. Anyways, 30. This is like a shit graph. One of the shittiest questions I've ever seen in my life. You would assume it's the next one, bald eagle. However, the graph shows the average. The average is like only like 10 centimeters. And only 10 centimeters above bald eagles. 20, and then 40. Not 30. Nothing is 30. The largest average spring has been wider than the. It's actually such a bad shit question. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's so shit. I've never seen a question this shit before. It's the largest average wingspan. The Philippine eagle is either 10 above bald eagle, 20 above golden eagle, and 40 above the harpy eagle. There's no 30 centimeters wider. I just take a guess at golden eagle, bro. It's wrong. Fuck me. Wait, it says at least. Oh my god. Oh. Jesus Christ. That's on me. That was on me. That was pretty on me. These questions be shitter though. If they get any shitter, I'm gonna jump over made it. Inferences hard. Certain species of desert beetle have long puzzled scientists by managing. Certain species of desert beetles have long puzzled scientists by managing to collect water in environments where environment is extremely scarce. Recent research focused on Stenoscara gracilis and Namibian beetles whose shell is patterned with hydrophilic bumps surrounded by hydrophobic channels. These structured features allow the to harvest moisture from the morning fog, water droplets from the bumps, and then roll down the channels, ultimately reaching the beetle's mouth. In one experiment, featured to replicate the beetle's shell structure in synthetic surfaces exposed to artificial fog. Synthetic surface successfully collected rain droplets in similar fashion, suggesting that spider surfaces may serve as a model for conversion. Was A or D? I hate this one. Ultimately reaching the beetle's mouth. Look at it. It's the whole part is about the beetle. D. Oh, I broke my mouse. No, my mouse. Hello. There you go. It's A. It still contradicts according to the Haskell. Unlikely. Are you serious? I need to wake up. This is so embarrassing. Look at this. What is this? This is why getting like a 1300, bro. So I can make sure every word to me say something. I hate studying. I hate studying. Science historian Naomi Oreskes has argued the scientific consensus can serve as a reliable guide for public policy, especially in domains like climate science. In her widely cited work, she emphasizes that while individual scientists can be wrong, scientific consensus can serve as a reliable guide for public policy, especially in domains like climate science. Especially in domains like climate science, in her widely-cited work emphasizes that while individual scientists can be wrong, a consensus emerges through rigorous peer review is predictably resulting in debate within the scientific community. Oreskes warns against false equivalence in public discourse, where minority dissenting views are given equal weight to consensus positions, leading to confusion among policymakers and public. Her research has been particularly influential in countering claims that climate science is too uncertain to inform environmental regulations. Countering claims that or the main idea is basically saying how we shouldn't listen to we should be working together to make a more peer-reviewed consensus in the scientific community to make sure policies are better. Written about important distinction between individual disagreement and community consensus, especially when addressing global challenges like climate change. Is there climate change? He is a climate scientist. Not exactly climate change per se. Oreskes is concerned that public debates often elevate minority scientific views, which can undermine the role of consensus in yeah. Was in the forthcoming in public discourse where minority dissenting views be, which argues that peer review really are flawed. Arguer reveals how scientific uncertainty can lead to scientific progress, even when confusion over. Yeah, or is concerned be. He does not make any application to climate change. She's a climate scientist. She's climate science in general. She doesn't mention climate change. Ugh. Look, anywhere does it click climate change? Where does it say climate change? It says climate science, not climate change. It's nothing to do with climate change. Where do I contact them and say this is wrong? It's pure bullshit. Three wrong. Because the questions are wrong. The bullshit. What question is this? Trying to test last one. I'm getting out of here. In the early 20th century, psychologists began systematically studying memory, aiming to understand not only how people maintain information, but also why they forget. One major theoretical development. I think I'm just too tired. I need a break. And just after this question, take a little break. Oh. Uh, 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 uh. In the early 20th century, psychologists began systematically studying memory, aiming to understand not only how people retain information but also how and why they forget. One major theoretical divide developed between researchers who believed memory operated through a single linear process and those who argued that multiple memory systems existed. Each responsible for different types of recollection. Endo Tovey, a pioneer of the latter view, which is the multiple memory systems, proposed that episodic memory, a personal experience tied to specific times and places, is fundamentally distinct from the semantic memory. Factual knowledge is independent of context. He asserted that treating all memory as a single mechanism would oversimplify the cognitive process involved, which finding, if true, would most directly support Tovey's position. In a longitudinal study, studying who suffers injuries in the hippocampus struggled to recall personal events from the past but were still able to recite general facts and definitions with ease. Patients with early stage, it's about making memories though. Retain, but also what they forget. It's less about making new, it's about retain of the memories. Patients with early stage dementia often show decline in their ability to remember people's names, addresses, expression, even when those lose memory. Memory experiments using word lists found that people more accurately recall information when the words are emotionally charged. New model memory suggests that information initially stored in short-term memory and then translated to memory. So sad. Ugh. I'm gonna take a break. Look at this bullshit. With this 50%, oh my god. That's like what? A 400? Jesus Christ. I'm gonna go on break for like a good 5 minutes or so. And I'll be back. Oh, I have returned. We'll just move on to the next one. I'll go lie. I don't want to deal with that one anymore. Boundaries. This is the boundaries. Need to be what? What is this? Standard English conventions. We can deal with this. It's hard. Acclaimed thriller writer Donna Reynolds is perhaps best known for the best-selling espionage novels, but after becoming frustrated with conventional storytelling, she shifted gears, devoted years to oceanography, collaborating with University Labs on a series of deep sea currents, mapping. It's not mapping. This one. Yeah, see, it's not this one because this requires a new full independent class, which mapping subtleties that inform Heavy metals is not an independent class. And period also requires independent class. Does not. It requires some sort of periodation here. Let's see it's right. Happy man with no punctuation. The rest these reads as if the person themselves are doing in the mapping. Misplacing the modifier confusing the agency. It fails to signal the reader led to the mapping. This is about independent classes. Yeah, independent class and independent classes. This one's easy. Venue, which one best include conventions? Venue waste reduction campaigns can be successful, says researcher Maya Singh of North Shore University when theaters give patrons a choice. For example, the Brookside Theater cut program printing by 35% after the theater staff was instructed to ask patrons whether they wanted a paper program. And obviously they just quit do. No. Countries. In recent climate change debates is a medium. In recent climate change debates about over how to improve seasonal to decadal forecasting, while some models push for ever finer blank resolutions, while some models push for fine resolutions, others emphasize. Yes, you see. Go back to 4 form. It says boundaries, form structure, boundary, form structure, boundary, form structures. Just two of them. This one's medium. In 2020, conservation biologists fitted the rehabilitation golden eagle with habilitated golden eagle. Fuck golden eagles. We all hate golden eagles. Not a single one of us like golden eagles. With lightweight GPS tag before releasing it in the Carpathians. Device logged altitude, wind, and position data. A later software glitch corrupted the main memory. Fortunately, its backup module preserves the full multiplier. It's we don't need an explanation. It's obvious enough. Boundaries. So I think what we need to focus on the second ones. Those are really tough. Well, not tough, but so stupid. I need to calm myself down again. I think the problem is definitely in my reading comprehension for number 2. In a recent literary survey of historical biographies, the critic noted that 2010 volume on Julius Caesar reinterprets his political maneuvers, while the 2021 book Expedition. The comma doesn't make sense because that would mean this whole part is deleted and needs to fit. Volume user reinterprets its political maneuvers offers. So offers directly talks about this. I think this is the best one. I think. Yes, I don't know. I don't understand this one. Let's see. No function needed. Function as the subject. No, it doesn't. Yeah, whatever. I don't agree with that. In 1986, in the day my throat was from mucus. Frustrated by this SAT. Oh, we're gonna fail. I might have to do a lot of these on my own time. In 1986, days after Chernobyl nuclear reactor explosion, Soviet officials issued public statements of the In 1986, in the days after Chernobyl nuclear reactor explosion, Soviet officials issued public statements that emphasized stability while downplaying risk. The early reports later shown to be incomplete, suggesting yeah, I need to read carefully. Boundaries. I think I'm not gonna say anymore. Jesus Christ. In response to the sudden fuel shortage in 2024, urban planners predicted that commuters would flock to 2024 back to the power. I don't know about this one. I think it's D, but yeah. Simplons separates the initial prediction from the correction, and the comma sets off the transitional adverb that introduces a new outcome. Combination currently signals. Think more carefully. Think more carefully. We do 8, 9, and 10, and then we do 10 more of these, and then I think we can call it a day. In a multi-month oceanography survey, engineers deployed autonomous underwater gliders to mask temperature gradients. Unlike earlier models that needed surface input, the new units could collaborate. Yeah, this is a plural. We need this new units plural. This is not plural. It needs to be self. Maybe like come back to self, plural, singular. The plural units. Mismatch of plural units. Yeah. Sure you understand. Starting on boundaries again. And rapidly growing profits have started engineering crime working space. Let's see. Last one. Not sparks. Past tense. Not sparked. It's not half sparked. Quickly half sparked. No. Or these quickly are sparking. No. It's present. Present tense. Present tense. The. Yeah. These are all present. Yeah, we did 10 of these now. What's left? Now I just 20 of these only. And there's 40 of these. I think we'll do these. I'm gonna do these off camera. Probably tomorrow or Friday. We'll see. But for Friday, I'm doing the math ones on Friday. So I'll probably do these ones for tomorrow. And these 20 of these, another 20 of these. So total, I'm gonna do 50 tomorrow. I already did 50 right now. I'll bet this one sucked ass. So I just do 10 of these ones. I'm gonna take a break before I come back to this. Yeah. Alright, last stretch, last stretch. 10 questions. Mm. We're doing transitions and rhetorical synthesis. Which choice completes the test in the most logical transition? I think these ones are pretty easy. Rachel Carlson groundbreaking 1962 book Silent Spring is widely compared with the launching launching the modern environmental movement. The book exposed dangers of chemical pesticides, particularly DDT, and the devastating effects on bird science and ecosystems. Carson's works inspired new regulations, and, for example, as a result, yeah, it's good. Vertical synthesis is an easy one. If we want to compare the lengths of the two rivers, which choice most effectively uses relevant information about the nodes to accomplish this goal? That's easy. The amazing river is located. Compare the lengths of the two rivers. Compare lengths 400, 410. Both are the major rivers that flow through multiple countries. Now, you're located in logs. I don't know. Yeah, B is the only one that mentions both, except for A, which doesn't even talk about the length. Transition. Ludwig von Beethoven is often credited with bridging the classical and romantic eras in Western music. His later compositions broke from traditional forms, embracing emotional depth and structural innovations. Let's see. By comparison, in fact, his ninth features a core finale and unconventional is in fact shooting center genre. Expression of ideas, critical synthesis. I want to contrast the reverberation times of wooden plants and concrete walls. Which choice most effectively uses reverberation? Contrast reverberation times. Acoustic engineer Pranash was studying how material affects sound quality in walls. He measured reverberation times, how long per seconds. Wood panels reverberation 1.8 seconds provided warm, resonant sounds. Concrete reverberation 3.2 seconds reduced harsh echoes. Times versus 1.2, 3.2. One was easy, so should be B. How to examine various surfaces, including doesn't really contrast the times go. The material within doesn't really contrast. Variation talk about the ideal range. This one's easy. I want to get it right. Is it any easy ones I got wrong here, or none of the easy ones I got wrong? I guess that's good, somewhat. In addition, in 1994, astronomers observed fragments of the comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 crashing into Jupiter's atmosphere, producing massive explosions visible from Earth. These observations provided valuable data on planetary impact events and atmospheric behavior. As a result, it's because of the observation provided for it's saying how this led to this, and this is the only as a result the one that is like continuous branching. Rhetorical synthesis. This one is a medium one. Want to emphasize similarity between the two documents. Which choice will most easily similarity between the documents? In 2004, filmmaker James Hart releases Meltdown, a documentary exploring the melting of polar ice caps. The film uses time-lapse footage, animations, an expert interviews to explain the science behind glacial retreat. In 2021, filmmaker Amita Rhodes released Bleached, which focuses on the coral reef collapse due to rising ocean temperatures. Like Meltdown, Bleach combines scientific documentary with powerful visuals to engage viewers. Both documents highlight how climate change is affecting ecosystem in different parts of the planet. Similarities were released in between the two companies, which were better close, were released nearly 2 decades apart and focused on different Hanso A out. James Meltdown explores polar regions. One that's not similarities, it's contrast. B get out of here. Both use expert interviews, compelling visuals, and help audience understand. While Bleach was more recent, one of the first documentaries, that's not similarities. This is easy. This is definitely easy. 7, we're almost there. We have 4 more questions and I'm out of here. Whew. Transition. Renowned architect Frank Lloyd Wright was known for designing buildings that harmonize with their natural surroundings. He often incorporated local materials and emphasized horizontal lines to echo landscapes. Japanese architect Tadao Ando is admired for blending architecture with nature, using light, concrete, and empty space to evoke simplicity and serenity. Similarly, yeah. Boom. They took a risk on that one. Because the SAT, you have a time limit, you need to be fast. Number 8. The student wants to emphasize a difference. Highlight difference between Lovelace's and Morgan's contributions. Oh my god, I'm feeling fucking sick. Ada Lovelace was a 19th century mathematician. She is widely credited with writing the first algorithm intended for a computer. Her work focused on theoretical computing and methodological logic. Garrett Morgan was a 20th century inventor. He developed practical safety devices, including traffic signals and safety hood. Early gas masks. His work nasal cavities. His work involved creating mechanical solutions to everyday problems. Difference between those contributions. Ada Lovelace talked about algorithm for more advanced computational development, while Morgan was focused on conveniences and safety devices, and more about actual devices rather than the concept of continuous stuff. And both made, though they lived in different centuries and working to let's get out of here. Only focus on abstract concepts in computing, developing mechanical inventions designed for safety. Garrett Morgan is remembered for inventing design investment, while Ada is known for mathematical background. Lovelace and Morgan were both recognized as pioneers who worked in mathematics. Good job, thank you. Bro, a lot of people pick C, not C, because that is not a background. See? While the measure some facts about both individuals lacks clear contrasting types of contributions, mathematical pattern is vague and doesn't fully capture Lovelace's kind of abstract theoretical focus. Exactly what I said. No, that maybe the guy making this test isn't that bad. This one's easy transition. Although baking and cooking are often grouped together, they rely on different techniques and mindsets. Cooking allows for improvisation and adjustments during the process. On the other hand, baking requires precise measurements and careful timing, and small changes can significantly affect the final result. Anything that's like a contrast thing. In fact, for example, by contrast, easy. That's why you know it's easy. There's 3 opposing ones and 1 obvious one. Harder ones are more grouped together. This is the last question. Oh yeah, better get this on the spot. If I get this wrong, I'm gonna cry. This one's a hard, I think, medium. The trick want to emphasize the duration and purpose of constant durations work. Emphasize. This one's a different. It's not compared, not different. It's emphasize. So this one's a bit harder. Dr. Ashley Kahn is a marine biologist who studies coral reefs' health and affects climate change. She has worked extensively in addressing coral an ecosystem decline in the Pacific Ocean in 2001. She co-founded the Pacific Reef Watch Program to monitor reef conditions and support conservation. Dr. Miguel Torres is a coral reef ecologist and educator focused on reef restoration. In 2003, he launched a coral reef restoration project to grow damaged coral systems. His work involves partnering coastal communities to protect and sustain marine ecology. Durations and purpose. I think this one's like, yeah. Dr. Khan from some health and better understood loss and during long-term monitoring and research. Since early 2000, Khan have efforts to restore, protect, or by engaging with local communities. Emphasize duration and purpose. There's more emphasis on exactly, it's less vague than this one. Coral restoration project were created to study monitor changes in marine biology. It's not really emphasis on their purpose. Well, they were the purpose, but not duration. Remember if collaborated local moments. Yes. Yeah. The first option. This option mentions doctors have health and better for reasons loss and which highlights their scientific work. However, does not mention their involvement in community engagement or course creation. It also specifies how long they've been doing this work. Therefore, does not effectively emphasize either the purpose or the duration of their efforts. The second one is correct. This option states that since the early 2000s, Khan and Torres have led efforts to restore and protect Pacific coral reefs. By engaging with local communities and building ecosystems, it clearly refers to the time frame of their work and explains the purpose of their initiative. Including both conservation and community involvement, it directly reflects the key information from the notes. This option says that a coral reef restoration project and Pacific Reef Watch Program were created to study coral reefs and monitor changes in marine biodiversity. When it explains the book, I need to restart. I was focused on reading. So C is wrong because this option says the coral restoration project and Pacific Reef Watch Program were created to study coral reefs and monitor changes in diversity. While it explains the research focus, it leaves the conservation community aspect of their work. It also fails to include the timeline or indicate how long they've been involved in these efforts. And D, blah, blah, blah. This option describes Khans and courts as scientists who have collaborated with governments on reef policy and international conservation laws. However, the original notes do not mention any work related to government policy or international law. It also ignores both the duration of the question and the programs they established. The question is B. And yeah, that's that's 30, 40, 50, and now 60 questions done. And tomorrow I won't be streaming this. However, I will be doing the rest of the questions. So 10, so it's up to 30 here. So 30, 40, and 50. I did 60 today. I'll do the 50 tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining this. Thank you guys for joining my Is my thing broken? Oh, my PNG is broken again. How long has it been? Jeez. Well, doesn't matter how long I've been gone, but for now, thank you guys for watching this study stream. And I hope I get my 1670 goal score. And check me out on Friday where I'll be doing the math SAT. And then on Saturday morning 8 a.m. I'll be doing the SAT. Hopefully I get my 1670. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day. Stop streaming.